you have seen the ongoing xenophobic attack, and it didn't just start today. They're always chasing immigrants. But which immigrants? It's always the Black immigrants, Africans. Is this racism? Is it? It is racism. It is also pure hatred for their fellow Africans. And we question, why is it that our neighboring country, our very own dear brother, who we all stood up for during the apartheid, would spew so much hatred towards us? What is our offense? What did we do to South Africans? This is the briefing room. I am Kelvin Raphael.
And my name is Esther Melo. This is where we have conversations way beyond the headlines. You know, when Africans travel to America, they say, go back to Africa. When we travel to Europe, they say, go back to Africa. When we travel to other parts of the continent, they say, go back to Africa. But you know what is really painful? When you're in Africa and then Africans say, go back to your country. I think that cuts really, really deep. And that would be the crux of our conversation today. The xenophobic attack that is happening in South Africa. This is not the first time this is happening. In fact, it's become a recurring decimal. Why exactly is this happening? Why are we against ourselves? Why are we so divided? Why are we fighting each other? These are the questions we need serious answers to. Once again, welcome to the briefing room.
Now, let's talk about what this xenophobia means. It's simply hatred and hostility towards foreigners. Of course, xenophobia, it's in every country. We have it in Africa, in South Africa. We have a little bit of it in Ghana, little Ghana, you can imagine. We have it in the United States, in Canada, in the UK. It's in most countries, really. But the difference between xenophobic attacks in Western countries is that they're constantly chasing Africans, Blacks, out of their country. Whereas the xenophobic attack in Africa, in South Africa, is that they're chasing their fellow Africans. Where are you chasing us to? This is our continent, and this continent belongs to all of us. So you have no right to ask us to go back to where we came from, to our country. Now, we understand South Africans' anger. But the truth is, I do understand. Yeah, I do understand their anger. It didn't start today. Immigrants are not responsible for it. That's where they're missing it. All of this is as a result of the apartheid. You know, the South Africans during the apartheid, they didn't have access to quality education, they didn't have access to standard living, they didn't have access to high-paying jobs and even land ownership. Imagine not having access to land in your own land. You cannot own land in your own land. Imagine the frustration, the anger. They couldn't get access to high-paying jobs as well. Imagine being unemployed, not getting good jobs in your own country. This was as a result of the white supremacy. The apartheid lasted from 1948 to 1994 when it eventually came to an end. But you see, during the apartheid up to the time it ended, South Africa had already built a strong economy and it was one of the strongest in the whole of Africa. So it makes sense that when the apartheid ended and the border were opened, other Africans from Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Nigeria, Somalia, Ethiopia, they started trooping into South Africa. No, let me not say trooping in because it was just a little number that were going to South Africa. The immigrants at the time were not much. There were very few immigrants who were going into South Africa. So it's not like, the entire people from other African country were just trooping into the country. And the reason why they were going to South Africa was for greener pastures. Some of them were running away from the ongoing war in their country. Some, due to economic instability in their country, they had to move to South Africa to look for survival, to look for greener pastures. You know, these are people who are just searching for greener pastures.
So I'm going to say this, sorry to cut in. During the apartheid, history also tells us that South Africans had to leave South Africa and they had to move to other African countries.
Yes, that's
And
true.
Other African countries helped them with open arms.
Yeah.
Now, I do not think that what is happening in South Africa is excusable.
Yeah, it
And
is not excusable.
I say this because we cannot be fighting people outside there. We cannot be battling what is happening outside there, and we're still battling ourselves. We're already defeated. South Africa is just made up of about 63 million or 65
people.
million people.
Yeah. And
if
the
you check the
immigrants are about
numbers,
just 5%.
thank
of
you.
that
If you check
population.
the numbers, I'm sorry, it's not excusable. I've seen the
not
really
excusing
gory,
it.
I've seen the really gory videos that have come out of South Africans where a woman was telling a Ghanaian that go back to your country, fix your country. She's tired of Africans moving around. That is a South African speaking. We've seen the attack, the killings that have happened. This is not the first. It literally happens every year. As South Africa is the only African country in this continent. It is painful. It is not excusable in any way. Now, the excuse that they are making is that, oh, the immigrants are taking their jobs. Excuse me. I do not think anybody would employ anybody based on tribe. I'm sorry. A reasonable business owner would not employ anybody based on the fact that, oh, he's from Nigeria, oh, he's from Tanzania, oh, he's from... They would not employ you based on that. They would employ you based on the fact that you are qualified. It takes me back to a video of a former president of South Africa. They talked about how the citizens of South Africa are unemployable. So come on.
That's true.
They're making, these are just excuses that they are giving. Let them dig deep to find out what exactly is really wrong with them. Instead of throwing blames and pointing fingers, look at yourself and point at yourself. It is really painful what is happening in South Africa. There is no excuse. There is no justification. We've had the apartheid and it happened years ago. Right? But we cannot be talking about that now and talking about still fighting ourselves.
We have to talk about it. Now, here's the thing. I'm not excusing South African behavior. I am only saying that their anger is valid. The only problem
over who? Over their fellow Africans.
No, it's not. It's not.
You're angry,
this xenophobia, it's due to economic situation. The economic situation.
Whose fault
all right, now
is that?
Now, here's the thing.
Is it the fault of their fellow Africans?
I get it. It's not the fault of their fellow Africans. But first of all, if you want to fix a problem, you must look at the root cause of that problem, and you must acknowledge it.
So if we're looking at
acknowledge the reason why South Africans are angry. If during the apartheid they didn't have access to all of these things, quality healthcare, quality education, they didn't have access to good paying jobs. And then when the apartheid ended, they began to get access to all of those things. They were just starting to get on their feet before the immigrants started coming in, right? And then when the immigrants came in, they now had to compete for something that they had been waiting for a very long time. Wait, hold on, I'm going somewhere, right? I'm going somewhere. So it's been years now since the apartheid ended. But the truth is, currently, South Africa is among the top, they have one of the highest rate of unemployment in the world. They rank about second. Hold on. Their anger is valid. I am not saying it is. There's a difference between something being valid and being justifiable. It is valid, but it is not justifiable.
So
the reason
why are they? If you're telling me that their anger is valid,
it is valid.
So it's valid because they had appetite.
It is valid. It is valid because they are now with the influx of immigrants. There was now so much pressure on the black South Africans because they were already at a disadvantage during the apartheid. So here is the thing: these people are going through a lot. All right. They have not fully healed from the apartheid. But the problem is they're channeling those anger to the wrong people, their fellow Africans who stood by them. Nigeria supported them. We even had the Mandela tags where Nigerians had to contribute money just to support South Africans. We also offered South African scholarship. We had Ethiopia, which supported with the military. We had Mozambique. All African countries actually stood by South Africans during the apartheid. They supported them. They were there for them. They showed up for them. And now we're seeing that they are channeling the anger they're supposed to channel to the government. They're channeling it to immigrants. Immigrant makes up 5% of that population. So they claim that immigrants are taking over the job. Now, here's the thing about the job. It's not just in South Africa. Wherever you travel to in the world, immigrants are the ones who accept cheap labor, because they just want to survive, they just want to get by. So actual citizens would not settle for cheap labor. Immigrants do multiple jobs, which actually makes them resilient. They're here for greener pastures, they're here for something, so they're putting in all their efforts, they're doing everything that needs to be done. They work long hours, so they're very competitive compared to the actual citizens.
So it's interesting that you're making this point. So where in all of this is the justification for what is happening in South Africa? You know, when I was speaking,
justifying it,
I
but
talked
we
about,
must acknowledge the reason why these people are angry.
No, we're not disputing why they are angry. We're not disputing that. They've lived with it for years, and it's not going off.
They're not healed.
They've not healed, but it's not going off anytime soon. However, why you've not healed from something? You're causing your fellow brother, you're causing your fellow sister the same pain that you have not healed from. Tell me where in that is the solution. You cannot be talking about chasing people out because they're taking your jobs. What jobs exactly are they taking? The cheap labor,
the menial
jobs. Talk to people who own majority of your lands. Talk to people who own the farms. Talk to people who are doing things who are not from South Africa. The whites who are doing things and they are not from South Africa. They come. Excuse me, who are the people employing the Nigerians, the Ghanaians, the immigrants? Who are the people employing them? Really? So we talk about, immigrants are coming in, they're coming in to sleep with our girls, they're coming in to do this, they're coming in to do that. Can we look at the root cause? Because honestly, I am tired of having, it's like it happens every year. South Africans, you guys are not the only country in Africa. I'm sorry, you're not the only country in Africa. Yes, you've been able to fix up some aspect of your country.
And that was with the help of the whites in South Africa.
Can we look at the root cause of what is going on and leave Africans alone? People are just, I don't want to go too extreme, but I just think you guys are lazy and throwing blames around.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes. You're throwing blames around.
Okay.
And you're telling your fellow Africa, go back to your country. We're tired of doing this. We're tired of this. Your fellow Africans didn't stop you from learning a skill. Your fellow Africans didn't stop you from gaining education. Your fellow Africans didn't stop you from owning your lands. They didn't stop you. We cannot be fighting against the world and we're still fighting ourselves. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. It doesn't make any sense.
Another argument the South Africans have is the fact that immigrants, both the legal and illegal ones, are the ones causing crime in South Africa. However, according to the 2015 South African Police Service DOT analysis, they found out that 47.6%, that's half of the population of businesses, nearly half, which is 47.6% of businesses robbery victims nationally were foreign nationals. So the victims of these crimes are foreign nationals. And it was even higher around Gauteng area because they had about 77%. So if you look at it, also an analysis from the Institute for Security Studies shows that there is no evidence for foreigners committing most crimes in South Africa, and over 90% of crimes in South Africa is committed by South Africans themselves. So what this means is that the foreigners are even the victims. They're the most victims of all the crimes, the kidnapping, the car hijacking, the sex offenses. They are mostly the victims compared to the actual indigents, the citizens of South Africa.
So, Ghanaian president has reacted to this. Abike Dabiri as well has also reacted to this. But we'll take a look at that when we return from this break. We were on the street of Lagos. We spoke to some citizens or residents in Lagos regarding this particular issue. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, we'll take a look at that video as well as some of your reactions as well. This is the briefing room right here.
Every story begins somewhere. A question, a moment, a voice waiting to be heard.
I want to believe a sane person would not start a vehicle or start a truck of that kind.
Oh,
No,
yes.
no, it
Oh,
doesn't.
they would. In Nigeria,
No, I
they
don't think so.
would.
That-
Oh,
that-
yeah. Me, right?
I'm sorry,
So,
university or secondary school?
secondary school.
Sad.
So it makes sense. Like,
Never.
Do you believe in love at first sight?
Never.
What's your deal breaker in a relationship? Your time is up. I don't understand.
From conversations that matter to moments that move us, to stories that stay with you. This is more than content. This is Act One.
The immigrants we're talking about, they contribute 9% to South Africa's GDP. And no, if these people are contributing to your GDP like they do in other countries, I do not see a problem with that. They are a very small number and yet they contribute to the economy as well. South Africans also argue that they're trying to get rid of illegal immigrants. How do you know someone is illegal? Because we have even seen videos of people showing their passports, their visa as well, to show that I am legal, I'm a legal occupant, I'm a legal migrant, but still they're chasing them away, asking them to leave. So it is no longer a fight against immigrants. And if at all you're trying to crack down on immigration,
There are better
you're trying
ways.
to chase out illegal immigrants, it is not the responsibility of citizens
to do
It is
that.
the responsibility of the government. And in South Africa, the Department of Home Affairs is responsible for that. We also have the South African Police and the Border Management. These are supporting agencies that handle immigration. So it is not your duty as a citizen, it is not your duty as a group to crack down on immigration. Take it to the authorities. If you feel that someone is illegal, report the person to the authorities. And speaking of illegal immigrants, they are actually the least paid because once you know they are illegal, they don't want you to take it out there, so you actually take advantage of them.
Yeah.
So saying that immigrants are taking over your jobs, taking over your houses, it really does not make any sense in any way. Right? It doesn't. Your anger is valid, but it's not justifiable. It does not justify this horrendous act. Destroying businesses, looting businesses as well. These are businesses that people have spent years to build, and you destroy it. And do you know the worst part? We haven't seen a swift response from the South African police. So does this mean that the South African government is in support of the ongoing xenophobic attack in South Africa? I am forced to believe so. Because your silence is a response in the face of oppression.
So we were on the street of Lagos, and just to speak to residents in Lagos about what they think, about what is happening in South Africa. Take a look at this video right here. Take a look.
Well, everything still lies with the leadership, with the government. In what sense? In the sense that Nigeria, we gone are the days where, other countries, they respect us. But now, because of, if we don't respect ourselves, the other countries can't respect us. I'm not sure that what's going on in South Africa, even though, it's quite worrisome what the blacks are also doing to fellow blacks. It's quite sad and worrisome. But we Nigerians should also, respect ourselves in the sense that we should, take care of our homes. Our communities, we should develop our society, because if we do, by the time we are going there, we are going there as expatriates, we are going there to add value, but they see us as, and other African countries, they see us as just going there to take up their menial jobs, take up their welfare and all that, not giving excuses to to the South Africans, but we should be ready. I'm not sure they will do that to an American, I'm just saying, because America respect them. So if you do anything to an American citizen and the government get to know that this is what you've done, it won't be funny. So we should, if an average Nigerian is in the prison out of the country, the government rarely do anything. They wouldn't say anything. The government wouldn't go out of their way to look at what the fellow Nigeria is going through. So we should respect ourselves first. And to the South Africans, I would just say that those who are involved, shame on you. We are fellow blacks, and then nobody's taking up your jobs. If you are qualified enough, you should be able to do what the fellow African, the Nigerians are also doing over there.
Killing Nigerians, I don't know, Nigerians we are really going through a lot. When you try to survive in your country, it is hell for you. Going outside the country, South Africa is also an African country. How do you see it? Fighting your own fellow brothers, killing your own fellow brothers, because why? That thing has been up, and we really need to fight it hard, because I think Nigeria, we have been lenient on things that we're supposed to act on. You understand? In this, the way governments are treating everybody. At the end of the day, some people tell you it is not government, it is not government fault. It is our fault. It is because these people they know that they're nothing their government can do for them. Their government can fight for them. That is the main reason why we are being treated anyhow in any other countries, and most especially South Africa. I know it is so bad that this kind of thing is happening again, because it happened some years back that a lot of people had issues, they had a lot to say about it, but it is happening again. I don't know what to say, because I don't think I have power over that. I can't control it, but God should just help Nigeria.
Because indeed we have heard about previous rounds of xenophobic attacks by South Africans on Nigerians, but I guess this is the umpteenth time that it is happening, and it's disappointing. We don't know what South Africans really want. What do they want? I suppose that we are all Africans and we are supposed to work together. So it's really disappointing that South Africans keep doing this rounds after rounds, year after year, and so on. It's sad. Yeah. Nigerian government, well, if you ask me, they ain't doing enough. In fact, I could say that they are not doing anything to stop it or to help Nigerians from suffering these xenophobic attacks every now and then from South Africans. So the Nigerian government are not doing enough, if they are doing anything at all. That's what I can say.
The whole thing is when your house is not settled, anybody can just intimidate you. If your house is settled, nobody can intimidate you. So they have just the normal broken life. They just say they have seen us finish, that we can do nothing. Do you understand? If we have a good working federal government, nobody can intimidate you as a Nigerian anywhere. Just as you cannot intimidate any American anywhere in the world, you can't intimidate any black person anywhere in the world if you have a good government. But we don't have a good government, so that's just the bedrock of all the issues that we are facing.
So what you just saw there are basically videos of residents in Lagos, speaking to what is happening in South Africa. And I love the point that some persons made about the fact that our houses are not in order. What is the government saying? Abike Dabri, the chairman for Nigerians in diaspora, has advised Nigerian business owners in South Africa to temporarily shut down their businesses to minimize risk and avoid losses following the fresh wave of anti-foreigner protests in parts of the country.
And then Ghana's Foreign Affairs Minister, Samuel Okuzeto, he also summoned South Africa's envoy and called for an intervention to prevent further escalation.
Even the president also reacted to this. I'm talking about the president of Ghana, but I'm wondering what the president of Nigeria is doing. It is not enough. This is just lip service. I'm talking about Nigeria, right? It is not enough to tell, Nigerians in South Africa, oh, lock down your shops, oh, do this and do that. It is not enough. What are we doing? And why is the president of South Africa, why is he quiet? Why are South Africans, I haven't really seen videos of South Africans
condemning the act.
Condemning this act, speaking up against it. I've seen a few, but not so much compared to the videos that we've seen circulating on social media. Why are they quiet? Because being quiet is also, perhaps you supporting what is going on. Because if you're not supporting, then everyone should speak up against this. It is terrible what is happening in South Africa. And so if we're not supporting it, then we should speak against it. We have a couple of reactions and we'll take them right here. Now, this one is from Obino Shure that says, what's going on in South Africa is regrettable. We can't be our own enemies, beating fellow Africans just because they came hustling in your country is insane level of xenophobia. I thought South Africa's main problem is the whites who took their land illegally. I'm surprised they are beating fellow Africans in the streets too. Quite embarrassing. What's up with South Africans? Apartheid must have left them with very bad trauma and possibly mental issues, okay?
And then Carlo Aja says, South Africa is not safe for you to live as a black African, and that's really sad. There is a wave of xenophobia that has enveloped that land. They are blaming their poor economy on black migrants. They will not confront a white man like this. This is how this started in Germany in 1993.
We have this one right here, and this was from Yaya Libram that says, this is why Ghana is throwing a tantrum and accusing South Africa of xenophobia. Ghana is terrified that thousands of illegal Nigerians will start flooding into Ghana if they were forced to flee South Africa. It's all about self-preservation at South Africa's expense.
Olivia Sullivan says, real xenophobia started in Nigeria when 2 million Ghanaians were sent packing back to their country in 1983. Nigerians said Ghanaians are taking their jobs, business opportunities, and their wives who look like spiritual husbands from them. Ghanaians, known to be Sims, did not do or say anything about this. But when South Africans are trying to send back one Ghanaian, Zai to his country, all of a sudden they have loudmouths. Right now, as we are speaking, there are millions of Nigerians in Ghana. They even have a Nigerian king ruling over them, and they can't do anything about it. They're only mad about what South Africans do in their own country. Laughing. I don't want to say that.
All right, so we have this one here. This is from Vuyo Zungula MP that says, there is no government that would summon our ambassadors if the government actually enforced immigration laws. Immigration laws are enforced all over Africa and rest of the world. And no one says it's xenophobia. The issue in South Africa is a failing government that leads to citizens having to step in. The only solution is the government actually enforcing the immigration law. Talking about, there was a particular video that I saw, and the woman said, go back and fix
your country. Yeah, I saw it too.
I wouldn't say I don't know how that made me feel. It made me feel there's this sharp cut and sharp pain that I felt the moment she said it, because Africans were blessed, with resources. But I think we need to look at ourselves. Maybe self-reflection. Are we really good people? Because our leaders are also product of our families and by extension, the society.
Yeah.
They are a reflection of what is acceptable, what is obtainable in the society. So yes, why we point fingers to the leadership? They have their own share of the blame. But when we wrap up the show, I would say this. For every Nigerian, for every African, are you genuinely a good person? Because if you're a good person, you wouldn't see some other person as a bad person. We would work together to fix the system. So even the bad leadership that we have is a reflection of our family, of our society, and reflection of who we are as a people. So while you're pointing finger, also look at yourself as an individual.
And to crack down on this xenophobia, it needs to be addressed because it started in 2008. Major attacks started in 2008, down to 2015, down to 2019, and we're having another one in 2006. We cannot afford to have another one in 2027. It's about time to put an end to this. And to successfully do this, what the South African government needs to do is to create a massive job for its citizens.
It is not the job. It is not, Kelvin. I think we need to put it in context. It is not the job of any government to create jobs for people.
Oh,
it
no.
is. Yes, it is not. I think that's a part that we need to fix when we're reasoning. What the government needs to do is to create enabling environments so that people can thrive and create jobs. The government cannot come and establish a company. It is not, and that is why we have people who are doing absolutely nothing. You call them civil servants. You know, they earn every month. They are doing literally nothing.
The civil servants, are they even earning well? They're not even earning well.
I'm saying that is a different conversation, but I'm saying let's cut down the point of, oh, the government needs to create jobs. It is not the job of the government to create jobs.
It is partly the job of the government to create jobs.
What they need to do
partly the job of the government to create jobs.
Environments. When you create, and look at creatives, what is the population of the young people in Nigeria? These are people who ordinarily are very creative, right? They're doing, if government can just literally support them, they will do so well. But what we've seen is that by the time you try to establish one organization or open one company, they hit you with tax, they hit you with, even in Lagos, as a creative, you can't even move around to shoot. You would see one agbero that will come and meet you. Oh, we need to have that conversation. Because we talk about South Africa, but let's talk about what we do to ourselves, even as the Igbos and the Yorubas in Nigeria. We're pointing fingers at South Africans, but what about Nigeria? What we're talking about is happening inside our own country. That is a conversation we would have.
All right, so currently South Africa's unemployment rate is about 33.2%, and over 60% of that population, of the young population, are unemployed. The South African government needs to address these issues because if these people had something doing, they wouldn't be out there on the streets fighting other people. Another thing that has to be done is for the authorities to step up. There has to be severe consequences for the people who are carrying out these xenophobic attacks, because if there are grievous consequences for such actions, they wouldn't be perpetrating it in the first place. These are the things that some of the things that need to be done. And I want to end by saying, South Africans, immigrants are not your problem. They're not the cause of your problem. They're not responsible for your problem. Face your governments. Whatever issue you have, take it up with your government. Leave the innocent immigrants alone. They're fighting for survival just as you are.
It has been a truly amazing time having this conversation, and we hope that our leaders would listen. Honestly, fix the country. We need to fix ourselves. We need to fix our system. The system, we have failed systems. We need to fix that, and then fix the leadership as well, and just fix our country. So nobody born of a woman would say to you, go back and fix your country. My name is Esther Omelo.
And I am Kelvin Raphael.
And until we meet again,
good night.